Sanibonani ma-Afrika mahle, and welcome to Sfunu'Umsebenzi. So just a disclaimer, ladies and gents, as you can hear, my voice is otherwise, but I said the work needs to continue. So Sfun'Umsebenzi, it's one of our brand new shows where we are discussing the issues about unemployment, but we're also sharing opportunities about training, business, and also academic, because a lot of us, we know that we are in need of this thing. So my name is Ivantiso, and I'm going to be your host. But listen, I am not alone in the studio. I am joined by this beautiful lady. I call her a princess, a queen, all the way from Northwest. This woman, I can tell you right now, she is so amazing. She's a motivational speaker. She's a facilitator. She's a lecturer. She does all these manner of things. So, ladies and gents, put your hands together for Matlalepula Setlhako. How are you, my darling?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the warm welcome and thank you for having me here. So my name is, like you've already mentioned, my name is Matlalepula, aka Mapula,
Yes.
depending how you're feeling. So
Exactly.
I hail all the way from the Northwest Province, from the coolest town called Mahikeng.
Yeah.
Currently based here in Gauteng. Re tlo go epa Gauta, ke
Re
re
tlo epa
ngwana mme.
Gauta.
Yeah, re tletse mo Gauteng go tla go epa Gauta.
Yeah.
So
But before you even go further, I just want to compliment you. You are looking beautiful in that green.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
most of the
you.
time I see you wearing pants,
Right?
and jackets. I've never seen you wearing such. But listen, whoever is watching out there, are you single though?
Sorry for another day, ma'am.
It's okay. Let's come back to
Yes.
Sfunu'Umsebenzi.
Yes.
But I know that your CV is so huge. You do a lot of things on a daily basis.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
only mentioned three major things. But then for those who are curious about Matlalepula Setlhako gore now, what more do you do? Could you please share?
So I like to call myself an art activist. I would also like to call myself a philanthropist. I'm very passionate about developing and elevating the youth. I call myself a deputy mother of the young people of my 2000.
Deputy mother, wow.
Yes, because I've been in this arts education spaces for a very long time. So I've adapted, or I know how young people behave and how they can easily relate to you. Like you just mentioned, you always see me wearing pants and sneakers.
Exactly.
You know, so the difference is that when I'm in a work mode of a facilitator, I always go to the level of the people that I am facilitating. So this is a different scenario. It's a different scene completely.
Yeah.
So I am matching up to the standard.
But at least I tried with the colors, just for us to
Yes.
match,
Absolutely.
So apart from the things that I've mentioned and the things that you've mentioned, I know that you work for this beautiful academy that I want us to talk about, Duma Ndlovu Academy.
Yes, ma'am.
So what's your position there to start off?
So I'm the head of school, ma'am.
Whoa!
I'm the head of Duma Ndlovu Academy.
Wow, beautiful.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so as the head of school, what do we expect from you?
So we're expecting a very strict, appalling. So I'm that girl who deals with the policy. And I think this thing has been instilled in me. You know, leadership, you were born with it. It's something that you cannot buy on the street as you go by Mobutsilong. So it's something that I grew up with. I've always known that I'm a leader. I was very fortunate after I graduated from Tshwane University of Technology, as I was busy hustling for work in Joburg. I landed at DNA actually in 2012. That's where my journey started with DNA, I think 15 years or how many years later now. You know, so I got spotted by Duma Ndlovu, who was then hosting Thursday classes for actors at DNA. And because I've always been that curious young girl who wanted to know more, who asked relevant questions, I got spotted and I started working behind the scenes at Mobango as a shot caller. You know, I was a script supervisor behind the scene for a while. Yeah, and a couple of years later, here I am sitting as the head of DNA now.
You must have been a very good disciplined student for you to be spotted. And the
Yes.
next thing you are sitting here.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, let's dive into, Duma Ndlovu Academy.
Yes, ma'am.
If you were to share with us, what does it do? And especially with regards to its mission and vision, because the show is all about discussing people that are struggling and battling to get employment, to get opportunities in training, to get opportunities in business partnerships as well. So I'm very much curious to understand, with Duma Ndlovu, how does it fit into the picture, especially now that we've invited you here?
Yes. So he's actually very relevant, and just to reflect, I mean, I am here because of him. He opened this door for me in 2012, and not only me, I know a whole lot of people who got trained by word of mouth and who are doing stellar work in the industry. Some of them are even producing their own work by now. So his vision and mission has always been bridging the gap between the industry and young graduates, and also bridging the gap between an elite students from AFDA and a disadvantaged Mapula from Mahikeng who does not have money to afford institutions like your AFDA and so forth. So we come in between there to say we can elevate you. We can teach you the very same quality of work that of studies that a student from AFDA actually get. You understand? So we basically just closing the gap and also opening up opportunities for those who have never been exposed to the industry before. So that's his biggest mission and vision. And I think he's been doing that for a very long time, and he's still doing that. It's just that now the school got bigger and now it's accredited.
Yeah. So this whole time when he was actually doing Mobango, he was also training young people on the side.
Absolutely.
I mean, hello.
Hello.
Too much.
And I can actually mention, name drop a couple of people that I don't know if you know Mapensele. He's a sports commentator.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He is from DNA. I mean, Tembing Kosi. He was on Adulting. He comes from DNA.
Wow.
I know a whole lot of directors who also come from DNA.
Yeah,
so he actually paved a platform for a whole lot of young artists in the industry, and he is still continued to do that behind closed doors, behind the scenes where nobody can actually see and give him applause. That's what I actually appreciate a lot about this old man.
Amazing. Every time when I say, I don't just respect any kind of celebrity. I respect a celebrity who does give back to his own or her own people.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing that we've always been watching Mobango, but we don't understand that this is a man who multitasks, with his team. I mean, really, So now, what kind of programs does DNA offers?
Okay, so currently we offer TV and film production in NQF level 4.
Okay.
And next year we're expanding into NQF level 5. So right now we have 2 programs funded by CETA. One is a 12-month program, which is a learnership in TV and film operations in QF level 4, and the other one is a 3-month course in skills development in TV and film in QF level 4. So that's what we are currently offering now at DNA. And we also remember that we are a skills development academy. So we don't, our students don't pay fees, we rather give them stipend. If we do not have any funding, we do not operate, because we feel like if we really want to bridge the gap, now we cannot be taking a little that we know that our people do not have.
Of course.
So it's we trying to upskill here. We are not trying to make money from our own people. Yes.
Quite very interesting, because you get a number of companies that are actually funded by CETA.
Yes, ma'am.
But they still make us pay. What is the difference?
That's very disturbing, because if you say you're really doing this for the people and you got funded, then why should they still pay? I don't even think that it's legal. I don't think that if CETA should find out, they will actually be lenient. I know that some companies get accredited by CETA and not funded by CETA. So those who are accredited by CETA, maybe their way of making money is actually to charge fees for their courses. But those who are funded by CETA, then it's a complete different story. We are doing injustice to our people, and that is not okay.
Yeah. I want to come back to this topic about accreditation, but I really want us to look at the holistic holistic view about capacity building in the country.
Amen.
I mean, we get a lot of young people that are not skilled, yet they are passionate about content creation. You know, everyone is holding their phones. They are taking pictures, they're taking videos and posting on TikTok and this and this and that, but they still don't understand the business behind that. But now that shows, Uguti, we still looking academies, we're still looking leaders, we're still looking organizations that can actually give the right direction in terms of training. What would you say is our status quo in the country with regards to educational training, particularly in film and television?
It's a very touchy subject because the film industry, we have now this tendency, Kuti, everyone can be a training provider without actually even have a bigger picture of the people that you are training.
Yeah.
There is still a big gap, honestly speaking, and there is a need, you know, because especially now, because there's this content creation and there's monetization that goes with it, you know, but I am against companies, not actually against, because they're also trying with the little that they have wherever in other provinces. But if you're going to ask funding from SETA, then have a plan on where you're going to place these learners. You know, because the problem is now you go out there with your student, you promise them the world, you give them the theory, and the theory without the technical. I mean, this is a very technical course.
Exactly.
So if you don't know what you're going to do with them after the theory, then your plan is a bit skewed, which I think is also what CETA needs to look into. You know, vet their companies. If you're going to fund someone who says, I am going to train 15 or 25 young learners, ask them what are they going to do with them, because after that they would approach production companies like Word of Mouth to say, I have trained 25 students, please place them. And then our question is, okay, what do we get in return? Yes, we understand we do CSI, but how many more people are we going to be assisting? Remember, if you bring in 25 learners to a Mubango, you know, as a production house, they already have their things lined up. And so if you bring 25 learners, it means each and every learner needs to have a mentor.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
A mentor from where? From Word of Mouth. Each and every learner should have, you know, in our industry, we eat on set. We don't have time to go outside. Each and every learners must be catered for breakfast and lunch. You understand?
So it does cost a lot
it
of
does
money
cost
for a
a lot of
company.
money for a company to absorb. But us, the difference is that DNA is a training provider. Word of Mouth is a company. We already are a sister company. We train, Word of Mouth absorb. So it becomes a motion, a secular motion where we know we train for them to go there to be getting training, come back to us. So it becomes like a working tool, a working machine.
But maybe let's break it down a little bit, because I know that someone is listening and is like, okay, I hear you, Osmapula, but I'm a bit confused. Maybe slowly tell me, if I am DNA, I give training to Mike, right? And then you are TLL, a company, and then I say, I have trained Mike, now I want Mike to get work experience, and then I bring Mike to you. But I just bring Mike to you without promising you anything. So what is a gain there? Because there are other companies that are still taking in those interns without asking for anything.
So companies, they do differ. Obviously, you do know that.
Yeah.
But in our case, we already have a DNA as a training provider.
Yeah.
So if you bring more students, what are we supposed to do with ours? You understand? Training companies are not supposed to gain. If anything, they need to absorb, retain, and see where they can place you know, that particular learner.
Yeah.
Are there any job opportunities in the company? So it puts Word of Mouth in a very difficult position when Sis Eva comes with a mic to say, place mic. So what happens to a learner that we trained? Where are we supposed? So the absorption is not big but
Yeah,
the pool is
yeah.
bigger.
Yes,
You understand?
yes.
So hence I was saying, Hore, you get a whole lot of people who are training providers. They are accredited, but they
Yeah.
do not have production companies where they're going to place these learners after. So my plea with SETA is that, and I know also we don't have a lot of production companies. Perhaps before giving that particular person a contract, ask them, have at least an MOU from them and that particular production company to say that we'll be able to absorb this learner after you train them. You know, because you end up with learners who did the theory, but they do not have the practical part, which is more
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
do you think that person is qualified? Are we actually satisfy the mandate of SETA? Are we satisfying what SETA is trying to achieve in this regard?
No.
Because theory, you know, this is a very technical course. It's
True.
practical.
True.
So theory is just a little bit of the whole bigger spectrum.
But I want to assume that when people apply, they do write their exit strategy, you know, to say, after I've trained, this is what I'm going to do, give them work experience, and then find them host employers, right? But, and I so believe that they also say we can retain this number of people. But the
Yes.
question is, does SETA have the monitoring and evaluation department that follows up on that? Because I'm asking you this, why you have a lot of young people that are actually rotating from one internship to another. And now the question you're asking yourself is that, where is the retainment there? Where is the absorption?
I don't think SETA is doing that due diligence. I think whoever who came up with the idea of learnership, skills development programs years ago, they were in the right path. However, now we are overpopulated by learners who have done skills development program here and there and there and there. So they are busy collecting the certificates, but also in the name of having a stipend in your pocket, because it becomes their surviving tool. You understand? So perhaps now SETA needs to revisit their idea. We still, I'm not saying stop the learnerships, but now try to come up with another project. We have trained these employers. Now start working with employers to say, okay, now after you have trained these young people, how much can you absorb? And be very realistic, because also we know the economy that we're thriving in, to say how many can you absorb? What other strategies? Can you create a production? Can we fund you and create a production for this? Let's see how far that production can go. Perhaps 25 learners, you know, if we shoot a good quality project or product that can go onto your Netflix or Showmax, it has a way of sustainability. I mean, and also we look at other options of actually going to different film festivals internationally. That imagine we would have instilled business to these young people. Now they would have had like a project that is running. It'll be very easier for them now to tap back and say, we can create a second product out of this one. You understand? Then we have sustainability. I remember, and I even proposed, because Mzansi Magic used to have these short stories to say, now imagine if we have like your film institutions like your AVDA, like your, what's the other ones, like
Boston,
DNA, your
DNA,
Boston,
yes.
where we say we have a film festival and we select the best productions from all these institutions, and then we slot them come Mzansi Magic. The students get to actually watch their work before they can even graduate.
And it builds a good profile for them as well. But now, is there any penalty for such companies that are applying and they say this is what they're going to do, but they don't?
I don't think there is. I don't think there is. I mean, also going back to politics that I always try to run away from, I am going to blame our government, you know, because, and again, when they came up with all these policies and the nice things, it was only for that period of time. Now things have evolved. We have like now your AIs, there's technology that's taking over, and we're still stuck in the old way of doing things. So perhaps now, whoever who's listening in, very influential influential positions, we now need to relook at how we can do things to say, we have trained. Also, just do your research, your database research. Just check, since you started this whole learnership SETA funding people thing, how many students or learners are actually working? How many are still at home and still collecting their learnership certificates per year? Then you will actually see that perhaps this program now needs to diversify. We need to look at it from a different angle.
But I think we have tackled a lot of issues around, let's say maybe the challenges, you know, why this is happening. But also let's look at from the company's point of view. What are some of the challenges that you are encountering after getting the funding, and now you've got this group of young people that you are training? You know, take us through that.
So it becomes a very, but because I have dealt with the youth, I've been teaching the youth for the longest time. So I know how they are. The youth of today, they're very nonchalant. They're very frivolous about life. They don't take anything serious. The first challenge, or how I would vet someone about where they are mentally, you will see how they submit their application. You'd find that they just took a screenshot of their CV and they send it through to me. So for me, it says you don't take yourself seriously. You don't know what you are doing. The youth of today, they have access to the internet and their phones, and they're still not working on their CVs. You should be able to navigate through the internet and finding new ways and on how to create your resume but they're not doing that. Secondly, you find that I think because, I don't know, they're just trying out things just because things are there. You find someone who is still registered as a second-year student at your AFDA applying for a learnership. You know, which for me, if I absorb, because they don't say that I have graduated, they'll just say AFDA on their CV. So when you see that, as an AFDA graduate, they possibly need this opportunity just to step into the industry, and you find out that particular person is still in class. I have already registered them on the SETA system. They've already gotten the contract. They come back to me after that whole process is done to say, ma'am, on second thoughts, I don't think that I will have time to
I can imagine how you feel.
Exactly.
I can imagine how you feel.
Yeah, so it's lack of consideration for the next person. It's actually... for me, it says you're not ready mentally. You're just diving in whatever and just see if you'll be able to come back with a fish from that pool or whatsoever. Fourthly, you find those ones, and those are the ones that those are my targets, but it's difficult to reach them. You slot them in, they don't have data. You call back, you call them, their phones are off, and only 2-3 weeks after the program has started, they come back to you and tell you, oh, ma'am, I didn't have data. We didn't have electricity at home, so therefore I did not charge my phone. I just charged my phone now, and I see, and I'm like, oh my God, these are actually the people that I am looking for. And then now you find these ones that you can see that they're already well off from home. They show up on campus already driving.
Oh my God.
And you're like, ooh, but this is not for you.
Exactly.
And, so as a head of school, I found a challenge on not knowing how to navigate with or how to vet these kids, because you can't individually ask them, because also we don't run like NSFAS where they have to submit the pay slips from both parents to see if they're really struggling. So you end up taking people who are really not in need and leaving out the ones who are in need because of the small little technicalities and so forth.
And talking about, all these manner of things that you've just mentioned that youth is doing. I mean, you apply for something. After applying for something, after 3 weeks, you say, hey, ma'am, I'm actually still studying. Maybe explain to them, Uguti, how does this thing, or how does their mistakes, cost the company? Because it's very important that they understand that.
It cost us a lot. If you are chilling at home and you're watching this, just understand that this paperwork, the moment you submit your documents to us and we start, so we vet, we sit down, we choose, based on your CV that, okay, this one is suitable, this one. And it's not only one person who vets all this CV. 3 people, they sit down. I do my vetting, pass on to the next one. They do their vetting, pass on to the third one. They do their vetting. So
Ish.
after all of that, we capture them on their system, our system. After we capture them on our system, we send all those documents to CETA. Our CETA facilitator also captures the documents,
Sure.
generate the contracts to them, send them back to me. I send them the contracts. Contracts come back to me. They go back to CETA. We generate contracts from word of mouth.
God.
That goes to the learner. The learner signs the contract. It comes back to me. Now back to CETA. Now it's done. You first day in class. You're like, oh, I'm only now realizing that. Yeah, but because I have dealt with these young people.
Yeah.
I always ask them, I always have my suspects
Yeah.
based on your CV to say, when you look like you are industry ready, are you sure you're going to be able to? And they always say, ma'am, Bona, I've stayed at home for 3 years already and I didn't get, so I'm hungry for this opportunity.
Yeah.
2 days later, one got a cast go Ishaka Lamb. I mean, and I'm not going to stop a child from, getting that kind of opportunity.
Yes, of
but
course.
what happens to me, to my staff?
Hey.
We've wasted time. We've wasted resources. We could
Yeah.
have just, gave that opportunity to a really needy potential learner
true
rather
that.
than, wasting.
But this is where young people we have a problem with. They don't know how to prioritize. They don't know
Yes.
what to decide on
Yes.
now. They are looking at the short term, but not the long term goal.
Which is very problematic.
Of course, yes, you can be on Ishakalembe, and the good thing is you'll be famous at that point in time. But what if you don't make it further?
Exactly.
Then you're gonna come back. The money is gone. The fame is gone. The 5 minutes fame is gone, and the next thing you are back to square one. You have lost out on an opportunity that could have actually landed you on a permanent
Absolutely.
job. So
Absolutely.
I think we as a society will also have the responsibility, and especially academies. I can imagine the kind of work that you have to do to make these young people to understand. But you know what? I want us to come back to this level of education that has been given through these accredited programs. We have a number of companies that are actually getting these deals, that are getting the funding from CETA, that are getting the funding from Jobs Fund, government, NYDA, and they go back to the townships and they provide opportunities to the young people, and they say, you are going to get NQ level Banbani for studying for these few months. But then that education, do you think those smaller credits, do they really help our young people?
They do help. They don't help. There's always two sides of the coin. And they do help for someone who knows what they want.
Yeah.
They do not help for someone who just stumbled in the industry and not knowing what to do with the certificate. And like I always say, I always feel like CETA needs to vet the people that they are funding, which is very, very important. If you do not know the capacity of that particular company, how sure are you that they will do what they said they're going to do?
Hey.
Because we are going to just have all these learners who keeps on recycling themselves in the internships of the very same people who don't know what to do with the learners. And my biggest plea is that, or what I'm embarking on, is to tap into partnerships with different organization on formations like SAUSEV, like Sakaev, like SIGA, that is pretty much doing what we do.
Yeah.
Because with that, and I like what happened on Saturday, meeting up with Mandla Maseko and opening up my eyes to more possibilities on how we can actually partner and create more opportunities and more sustainability.
So this
for
was at the
all
SIGA event?
This was at the SIGA event.
Yeah.
This is, so the suggestion was that how about we take the students that I have already trained, they know what they're doing behind the scene. The music industry is also, and this is also something that also excited me because it's something that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to direct music videos.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like our music videos in South Africa, they lack the storytelling,
Yeah.
the filming behind the scenes, And the people who direct music videos, they understand the music, but they do not understand the storytelling that goes behind you now narrating that stories with pictures, narrating music with pictures. So us, the DNA students, will be shooting music videos for some musicians without a zero budget, simply because we have the tools, we have the learners who needs the practicals, we have a musician who cannot afford to shoot a music video right now. So we're bridging gaps on top of another gaps, which I think is going to pay off quite good at the end of the day, you know.
Of course.
So actually, I think these partnerships are very important, and white people have actually been thriving through partnerships in the industry and wherever. That's why they've been, able to produce so many good quality productions.
But my issue is here. You get a number of big companies that are getting these fundings, and then after getting the funding, they go to the townships. They meet with the likes of your SIGA, the likes of your small organizations, and they say to them, please recruit this number of young people for us, and this is the type of course that we'll be offering to the young people. And I'm going back to the credits. Uguti, you have courses that are having the smaller credits, and you've got courses that are having these bigger credits. And it depends on how you look at the journey, because you did say, Guti, they are good and they are also bad at the same time. You understand? But we've always having complaints as a society that this whole funding thing, it seems to benefit companies more than it benefits, the learners. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that, especially with SETA funding. I'm also new into this thing, and I'm also learning, because I also had that perspective to say, but this thing, it benefits the company more than, no, it's actually the other way around. Excuse me. SETA doesn't give you money at a go, as Eva. This is what I actually like about them. They give you money in tranches, like you not even in tranches, on a monthly basis. You report on a monthly basis with the proof of payments to say, I have paid the learners. These are their proof of payments. I have paid the training provider. Here is the proof of payment. Now I am invoicing for my next salary so I can pay them again. So it's very easy for SETA to actually track if you are keeping the money for yourself, or you are actually, maybe in a sense whereby you say you are a training provider, maybe that's when then you will keep money for yourself. But somebody like word of mouth, it's even in the contract and the SLA that actually they give us I think 5%, but unless are the money that SETA gave us. So let's say if SETA says they're giving Eva 950,000, they would say to word of mouth, that's like 50 more, so it becomes $1 million. That's how it works. So it's not easy for a company to actually chow the money, but it would be easy for maybe, let's say, a training provider, because the company pays the training provider to do the training. So, and I know it's like 30% per learner, so they get paid per head. So and that's where my issue comes with them, because if you get that kind of money and you give the learner a stipend, and you are unable to place them or give them the practicality of the course, then what is the point? Because if it was a company like word of mouth, they got that kind of money partnering with DNA trains, they absorb. So we can actually work together like a very oiled well machine. You understand? So that's where the gap is. That's where the biggest gap is.
I hear you. So just before we go for break, a number of training companies, even the institutions, academic high institutions, they do provide such, kind of courses, but they struggle with host employment. They struggle with giving students work experience. What do you think is the issue here?
The issue is, again, ungoverned policies of the industry. So you get some companies that are money driven. who would charge a course like literally 150K. And after 3 years, you have those students just chilling at home, not knowing what to do. It frustrates the parents. It frustrates that young people. Hence, we find them with like a whole lot of mental issues because a child went to university. They got the qualification from this reputable institution, but they back at home not knowing what to do with this. You understand? So I really think that if I was a president, I would literally say or cut the number of intake at each and every institution that offers this particular course, especially in the entertainment industry, where everyone can just wake up one morning and decide to be an entertainer, where we have YouTube where you can just or Google and learn how to use a camera, where, so a whole lot of things we can actually learn ourselves. It's just that school gives you that finesse, that smallanyana thing, that polishment that you need, but I and I'm saying this as an academic, come from a very, and I've been preaching about this to say, we each and every year, we are producing actors, we are producing technical people, and we don't know what we're going to do with them, which is, it's a problem. On top of that, we have skills development programs and these very same things. What are we doing with those people?
Exactly.
Well, the industry is still closed. It's still very small. So we really need to look into that. If anything, I always advise learners who actually wants to study this to go to institutions like DNA. Not that I'm,
that boasting.
I'm boasting, but I know what I'm going to do with you after you graduate. I can relate to you. Sis Eva, this is it's actually very close to my heart because I have worked at institutions where I still have students who are calling me today to say, ma'am, I don't have a job. I graduated 4 years ago. I still don't have a job. I plugged them in this NQF level 4. Now, you have done your NQF level 7 or 8 from that institution. Now you come back to DNA that is offering NQF level 4. But I know that by the time you leave DNA, you would have been exposed to a job opportunity. You know how real things are working behind the scene in real time.
Exactly.
And if anything, they might retain you in that company. So that's the difference between us and other institutions.
Well, listen, I'm beginning to think that I must go and be at DNA as well.
Thank you.
And study, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
But right about now, I'd like us to go to the streets and let's find out people who could say, how are they affected by this huge unemployment thing? And most importantly, talking about their capacity building or training, especially with regards to the skills. So please, let's take a look at this.
Youth unemployment is a very bad thing in our country because so many youth are not working and so many youth have they are educated, they went to colleges, universities there, but there's no jobs in South Africa. So it's a very bad thing because people end up doing things they don't want to do, and also again the youth have no places to show their skill, or rather they do not have connection on where to show their skills. There's so many talents but they can't be shown because now in order for people to get jobs, you need to have an experience of like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whereas you just from a college, you just from a university, you don't have that experience. I just wish like they could be able to help with that. They could be able to train these people. They could be able so that we can learn, you understand? So also internships and learnerships, I feel like sometimes they help, sometimes they don't help, because in internship you might find that like they need only 10 people. Learnerships, they need 30 people. I feel like it does not make any difference. It helps some ways there and there, but it doesn't really make a good difference. My thing is, I just wish like everyone could, every companies or learnership, wherever they are hiring, they could just have that thing of saying they want to train our youth, they want to, because you can't be out of a university and have experience. Yes, I have experience of what I studied, but I need more skills, you understand? So we need our companies to give us a chance as a youth, like come with that degree, come with that certificate, come, we will teach you. Because now if you need a 5-year experience, I'm just from a university, where do I get it? You understand? So yeah.
Well, welcome back. You're still on Sfun'Umsebenzi. My beautiful guest, Matlalepula Setlhako, all the way from Northwest, and representing, she's the headmaster of DNA Duma Ndlovu Academies. So, Matlalepula, in closing of a conversation, I mean, we've had a very interesting topic, talking about, students that are applying, but what are the challenges that you as an academy you are facing, but also looking at the student side of things as well. And you spoke about those students that could afford or can afford, but they're still applying and depriving the ones that are actually totally in need. But on that one, I would really like to side with everyone, because yes, you might be privileged. And what if the parents are actually pressurizing you and say, go look for a job? You can't be sitting here doing nothing. Yeah, well, we can look at it both ways in a way, But let's talk about your opportunity. I know that you have already awarded some of these participants, the opportunity to study with a DNA. They've already started in September. But I think what I want to get at now is that what number did you absorb this time? And then immediately after that, let's look at host employment. What can we expect as companies to partner with you on this program?
So we currently absorbed about 50 learners. And I'm looking at expanding next year to 100 by God's grace. He's a mighty living God, and we serve him. He always responds to our prayers.
Amen.
So basically we absorbed 50. So I took from a pool of the partnership with SIGA, my partnership with Sakaev, and so I took literally the learners that I knew that they already exist in the platforms of my friends in the industry, just to make life easy. Also because you don't want to find yourself advertising on social media and you end up attracting the wrong people who do not need this, who just wants the fame and actually not the tangible cause itself.
Exactly.
So what the learners should expect is just hard work, and I'm going to come back and knock at my partners to say, let's see how else we can do this. What other platforms? Because I'm that girl who is always want to break the boundaries. And let's see if we are not, if word of mouth is unable to retain, because it's highly impossible to retain 50 learners. But what other job opportunities can we create for these people, for these learners, as opposed to them now again getting certificates and going back at home, back to Kasi, as if you've done nothing. So that's my biggest vision, to tap into my partnership and say, let's combine our heads and see, let's lock heads and see what kind of potential job opportunities we can create for these learners, especially because we have experience, we have the resources, we have the minds. I think what the industry actually need is us to take actually the lead in the skills development and academic, to say, as Black people, we are taking a stand. Now we are taking the lead. This is who we are. And we are actually not divided. We are working together for one common goal, which is to better the future of young generation of our country.
I like that. And now that, we have given the young people an opportunity, and you are simply saying, companies, after a certain time, I would like you to absorb these students.
Yes.
But then someone who's watching at home, he is very eager to do it now. But then how much time are you giving us before we can then approach you? As companies,
I think it should be like an everyday conversation, because we don't know when opportunities can come knocking. So conversation needs to happen on a daily basis. I would really also appreciate if SIGA can just knock at our doors one day with their cameras, just to come and see what we're actually doing with their learners, because that would mean, Kuti, you did not just throw them in the deep end, in the deep ocean. We are in this together, and we are holding hands together. So I think I'm looking forward to that, and also to actually partner with other production companies, because I'm not, I'm big on partnership and collaborations, because that's how I got most of my opportunities.
Yes.
To tap into like Genesis Kagiso Mogale was the head writer of Umkhokha. Now he is producing Genesis. You see the evolution of how where you come from can actually, now I'm able, because he comes from there, I'm also able to tap into that and say, hey, we also need assistance, because now there is that relationship that started a while back. You understand? So that's the kind of relationships that I'm planning to build moving forward. Even the companies that I do not know about, I am coming to knock at your door. Also do come and knock at my door. If you do have money and you are a government funding institution and you know the kind of work that we do, please just come to us and see how we can actually collaborate, join hands together, and let's see what we can do for a black child.
True that. I mean, Siga was working with TLL, so TLL surely they will have a space for your student, because on a daily basis, we are looking for editors, we are looking for directors,
Absolutely.
we're looking for people that are doing sound. As you can see, even the ones that are behind this camera, there are young people that we are working with. So definitely, we are very, very, very much excited to always give work experience to the young people. But now, lastly, because I have counted 3 people now, right? First one, it was the participants, meaning that the young people that have applied, which you have given them the opportunity. Number 2, you have now given the opportunity to companies to partner with you. So earlier on, because I listened very attentively, I mean, Sfun'Umsebenzi is all about giving opportunities to people, okay? So you mentioned earlier on that when you met with Mr. Maseko, you discussed that, listen, let's give artists that cannot afford to shoot music videos. It could also be dancers that can produce something, but then they can't actually pay for their music videos or their dance videos. So if I am that person, who do I contact and when do I contact you?
You contact DNA Academy. My number is 061-486-8249. And you can follow me on Facebook. I'm actually big on Facebook. I go by Matlalepula Setlhako on Facebook. And also on TikTok, I'm at Setlhako. That's why I actually shared most of my work on TikTok. So you can just get hold of me and then we'll take it from there.
Wow. Guys, I mean, I have done what I could. So, Osmapula, in closing, I know that you're a busy woman, and I know that in this industry you always want what's best. Hey, I mean, to other training academies out there that are doing amazing work, just like DNA does, but they're still struggling with a few things. What's your word of wisdom to them?
My words of wisdom is that collaboration and partnership together, we can build a nation. I mean, you could be knowing something that I do not know. You can contribute to also something that you think that it's moving, only to find that it's actually not moving the way it should be flowing. But with your contribution and just your voice to say, we are here, this is who we are. Let's see how we can actually, and also I believe in student collaboration, student exchange. We need to exchange students. Our students should actually be able to go to Edivos and see what they do. Edivos students come to us and see what we do,
Like
So yeah, it becomes not only collaboration between or partnership between institutions, but it becomes partnership to these young people. So also they can start creating their work. They already have smartphones, so we just need to give them the open doors for them for opportunities that they do not know that they're actually there, but they don't know that they are there.
True that,
I think I would actually really appreciate that. And also there is a lack of film festival in these kind of institutions. So it would be great for us as this leading film institutions to sit down and actually do a film festival, South African Film Festival for students. And so we don't do ours in isolation. I mean, that's the only way that the student would know who they are competing with in the industry. They will never know if they are just sitting here by the corner. This is my favorite proverb that always says, an eye can never see itself. So you'll never see yourself if you are actually not looking at your neighbor to say, hey, come look at my outfit. Am I okay? Look at, O motho ka batho. Thank you, sis. You wrapped it.
Thank you so much, Osmapula. Listen, not from me. I would like to come to your studios. I would love to see what TLL and SIGA has done, actually the contribution that they have made.
Absolutely.
So in short, I would love to have a session with those students. Let them share with the others, because we realize that there's a lot of mistakes that young people are making and they're not even aware of it. And probably maybe by the time we come to your studios, they would have learned so much. You would have opened their eyes. Thank you so much for being with us in the studio, Osmapula. I mean, it's been a pleasure. We have learned a lot about this training, accreditation, education. And I think the young people, honestly, they have learned as well as the companies, because it's important for us to position ourselves very well as South Africans.
Absolutely.
So now my plea to you is that as TLL, we would love to come and see the contribution that we have made in partnership with SIGA and NAVF, and speak to those young people.
Absolutely.
Let them tell us what do they feel about the opportunity, and also share the experience, because young people out there are making a lot of mistakes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes,
So bathong nna ke buile ho lekane ha ile hore ha wa ikutlwela ha ke tsebe na o tla bo seletse guys. Sfunu'Umsebenzi is all about giving opportunities, and today we have given opportunities to 3 types of people, participants, companies, even the artists. So how sa you utlwi taba ena ke tla tsebe gona jalo wena o kotse ditsebe kapa ha o di butsi jwang. Until we meet next time, don't forget to subscribe, because it's very important that you subscribe. That's how we survive, guys. That's how we survive. So till next time, Matlalepula.
Exciting news. Soy DNA is running this competition where you can stand a chance of having 3 months of your tuition fees paid. Mahala. All you have to do is to go to our social media page, Duma Ndlovu Actors Academy, across all social media platforms. Mese usithumele video telling us why you should win and why you deserve to be a DNA.